future is something that's totally in your hands. And you have to have a team around you of people, a coalition of people who want to see what's best for you, and to be able to tap into that, that's extremely powerful. There's so much that I want to talk about, a lot of stuff is like flying around, and I'm gonna just, I'm gonna just kind of go to different places. Because last night, I was watching some television for the first time in a while, because I saw something for the first time in a while, and it really inspired me. I wanted to go with it. And it was Barack Obama was speaking at a rally in Atlanta last night. He was recognizing and bringing up Kamala Harris for her speech, right? It's the campaign, it's political season, a lot of silly stuff. But Barack Obama is an important person, obviously, an important speaker. And he really tapped into something that I wanted to share with you a little bit today. You know, I'm not going to presume to be able to quote what he said. I can't. But I can tell you that there was a real gist, there was a real thread to what he was talking about last night when he was bringing Kamala Harris up in his brief remarks. And it was essentially, character is destiny. That's what he was saying in so many words, at least to my ear. And what he was talking about was, we have a lot of choices. And in this particular context, he's talking about a political campaign. We have a lot of choices for the kinds of people that we want to be representing us or leading us, the kind of people we want to associate ourselves with. And then how do we make that decision? We look at the kinds of people that they are. And he said, look at this other person and look at that record. Look at the language. Look at the attitude. Look at what they're bringing to the table. He's talking about self-centeredness. He's talking about selfishness, envy. He's talking about superficial gains. He's talking about a lack of integrity, dishonesty with oneself and those around you. And he's saying that that's what the Trump campaign is representing, right? Forget the policies. We can talk about that stuff all day long. But there's an energy there that's going in a certain direction. And he contrasts that with the Kamala Harris campaign and the idea of lifting people up and being part of a coalition and being part of a new and hopeful future, as opposed to one that's about punishment and punitive measures. And they're not us and we're not there. There's not a we there. He's saying character is destiny. He's saying that who you are and the energy you put around you is going to dictate where you're going. That's what Barack Obama's talking about. He didn't even talk about a single policy in this speech. It was more of a spiritual call. What kind of person, what kind of people do I want to be? Now, we can get discouraged sometimes because we can see that there are people around us who are adopting those kinds of energies that we know might be negative, and it might seem like that's getting them over. It might seem like that's thriving. It might seem like that's the way to go sometimes. Robbing the bank rather than investing in the bank, so to speak, right? But we know where that story ends. We have thousands of years of history that shows us exactly where that goes. That goes to a bankruptcy, both of financial houses and moral houses. Character is destiny. Also, we know what we've been and we know who we are, but we know not what we might be. Right? We know the past. Did we learn from it? Did we know how to do something different to get a result that we find better than the one that we've had before? Or do we keep banging into that same role? Obama's saying the same thing about that. He's saying, we know where that story goes. It might feel good for a minute. When you're down, when you're afraid, when you're discouraged, it might be easy to say, oh, well, F them, or F that, or I'm gonna rig this, or whatever else, right? Sometimes the path toward righteousness and strength and peace and harmony doesn't seem like the easiest way, but it's the way that works every single time. That was the wisdom I took from his words, and that's what I try to impart into my own life, and it's certainly what I would say is a good thing for you. I I think it's a good thing for anyone. I think character is destiny. What can we do in the future to really be able to maximize the power, unlimited power, of the lives that we can live in the future, benefiting the people around us we care about, ourselves, our children, our families, and everyone else. Excellence is right there for us if we just put that one step in front, if we just take that next stepping stone up, up, up. This is a special day. I want to say a quick thing about time also. I told you I'm all over the place today, I'm sorry. I didn't sleep much last night, you know how it goes.
Yes.
Time is an interesting thing, right? There are renewable resources all around us. The sun, the wind, the earth. We could dig up whatever we want. Technology gives us so much. But there's one thing that no one has ever been able to make more of. That's time, right? And yet we abuse our time all the time. I'm guilty of this myself, right? Do you think that I'm exactly where I want to be, or I could have been today if I had really used my time wisely all the time? No, of course not. Of course not. There's always more yards left on the field. There's always more points left in the back pocket. How many of those can we reach in and can we get? How many of those can we put on the scoreboard? Time. I'm going to end it with one last quick little story. There's a woman, rest in peace. Her name is Susanna Romero. You don't know her, and that's okay. She's a friend of my mom's that she met at church about a decade ago. And she was at that time in her late 40s, and she was living her life just like many of us do. Worried about her car and her house payment and what she was going to do this day or that day. And then she goes to the doctor. And then she gets the news. Breast cancer. Metastatic breast cancer. Inoperable. Chemo might keep you around for a little longer, or it might not, and it's not going to feel good. Right? Life expectancy, months. She says no. I don't want the treatment. I'm going to go my own path. Right? And right then, she dives into physical and health therapies. But more important, she made two decisions at that time. One, I will see my youngest daughter graduate from high school. Her daughter was small. Two, I'm not going to waste time. Time's not going to be wasted on anything. Suddenly, when we realize, we run around thinking that time is forever, and it's not. Our lives are so short. Sometimes it takes that wake-up call to realize it's not, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it the next day. You'll do it now. There won't be a tomorrow. There won't be a tomorrow that you can do anything with. She lives 10 years. 10 years. The last year, she was down, she was sicker. She was unable to do as much. The cancer spread to her brain. But she was still with the Lord the whole time. And those 9 years before she lost consciousness, she always talked about the greatest part of my life was what came after the diagnosis, after the death sentence, right? Because she realized the value of the time. Suddenly all this other stuff that takes us astray, that makes us not be the people that we are, suddenly all that stuff just fades in the back. It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. She got busy living, and she lived it the best she could. Our time is short. I don't wish a disease or anything on anyone, but the Lord can take any of us home anytime. What are we going to do with the time we have? You have today. It's a special day. You got a team around you. You have the whole wisdom of your life's experience at your back, charging your batteries. What are we going to do with it? Let's go. Congratulations, guys. Wow.